Let's see if this is any better. All right, I think we're live. Popping in here. Again, let's take two. Technical difficulties. Trying to set up a studio here in our lighting lab, and we will see if things are working. Get somebody to pop in here, let me know. Check on my phone, see what's live and what's not. Make sure we're coming through. All right, so the goal is to build up our YouTube following and to share more. It's live. There we go. We're on. All right, so the topic tonight is I'm going to be diagramming a print, and we could talk about the print. We're going to be discussing the how and why we captured it. It was from a photograph of a cheetah in the morning in the Masai Mara in Kenya from our recent photographic safari. We are going to be increasing, Dawn and I, we're going to be increasing our destination photography workshops. We have another safari that we're planning to a private reserve in Botswana. Amazing, amazing place. If you've never been on safari, be aware there's a couple different types of safaris, and they basically are on track, off track, public national parks, or private reserves, and there's a lot of differences in between. While there's no fences, the animals could go anywhere they want to go. But the difference is in a private reserve, it's limited access. You just don't have the general public coming in, and therefore, in my honest opinion, there's less disturbance to the natural behavior of the animals. And what I mean by that is some of the national parks we were in Kenya, what would happen is there would be a sighting, especially of a big apex predator, let's say a big cat. People would be able to drive on the track through the park in their car, and they're loud, and we even saw a couple people take laser light pens and shine it on the cats, and you know, that's just not cool. I want to be as ethical as possible with the people that we bring there to teach about wildlife, to be impassioned about wildlife, that the wildlife are not there for our amusement. They're there as they're part of the planet that we share with. Just like my puppy dog here, Blue, who likes to make an appearance. Yes, yes. So, with that being said, I have another topic. I had a lot of questions about how I copy some of my old negatives. Recently, I shared a photograph of Michael Jordan during the slam dunk contest from 1988. And while I used to do copy scans using a flatbed scanner, which is slow and tedious and all those crazy things, I've since evolved from kind of a real homemade copy stand, and I'll explain this and what it did, but it did work, to a more advanced, and here is our other copy stand. So this is a setup, and I put all the information with the links in the description. So this is a regular copy stand that I got from B&H. So it's like an enlarger, it goes up and down, we have light panels, and we have the photograph down here, and I can also use a nice high quality portable light table, put my positives or negatives on the light table in a negative carrier, such as this, and then use the 100mm macro instead of the 2047 that I have on here now. Get nice and close, shoot tethered, using tethered tools, cable right into Lightroom, and get a really high quality copy of the negative on the light table using the EOS R5. So let's pop it back over here for a second and see if anybody has any questions, any thoughts. Blue wants to play. All right, no comments, nobody tuning in. We got a couple viewers. Hey, how's the audio? Anybody can hear me? Blue is in a playful mood right now. Dude, this is not the time to play. I played with you earlier, so you guys sit down, buddy. Yes. All right, so the picture I'm going to share, if Blue will let me, he's a very demanding little puppy, is the description is we were coming out of our camp first thing in the morning. We were lucky we were there. There were some rains. So when you get those rains, it makes the animals a little bit more active because things become lush, and any changes in the usual weather, animals become more active and you get more behavior. So we were driving out of the gate of our camp, and the sun was coming up and the clouds were going out. So we had this dark sky, the rains had just happened, the ground is really lush. And off in the distance, our guide, Obadiah, and I were looking and scanning. I'm standing out the top of the vehicle looking, he's driving, and we see a couple of cheetahs coming across the plains. I'm like, oh, Obadiah, do you see him? He goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, we have to stay on track. So it's a national park, so we stay on track. And with being on track, that means that we are driving in the vehicle and we can't go to where the animals are. Like in off-track and private reserves, it would just be us and not an entire park of people. So therefore, we'd be able to get within, 50 yards, whatever is safe, and our guides are very knowledgeable. So being that we had to stay on track, we parked the vehicle, composed the picture, and wait. So cheetahs love to get up high so that they can have a vantage point and survey the land for both predators, because lions will steal their food, leopards will steal their food, hyenas will steal their food. So cheetahs want to get up high, survey the competition, and also look for a meal. So as the cheetahs were coming up closer, I was using my 600mm lens with a 2x converter, and I could see them coming in. And sure, you have to take into account that when you're using a high magnification lens, shooting across a plain, so the ground was, I'd say cool from the morning, overnight, and then we had the rains end, so we had moisture in the ground, and the sun's coming up, and it's getting hot, so you start getting this atmosphere the closer you are to the ground, and you'll see this distortion. The higher the megapixel of the camera and the higher the magnification, you will capture that distortion. And your pictures will sometimes look like you're photographing through cellophane. And it's no fault of the camera's focusing, it's just magnification of atmosphere. So we were going to wait till these cheetahs came closer. And we noticed there was a tree, an old tree that had fallen down, a down tree. And I'll pull up the image, I'll share my desktop over here and share it with you. And I got my 100 to 500. I'm standing on the top of the vehicle. It was a really easy throw for the 100 to 500. I'm like, oh yeah, Obadiah, I know it. They're going to pop up on the branch, this big fallen tree trunk, and look around and see what's going on. And Obadiah's like telling me, oh, be watchful of them because you're higher up, you got the long lens. They might sprint because on the other side of the field from us and across the road were some impala. But I'm looking through the lens and I'm saying, oh, Obadiah, they're not going to hunt. Their bellies are swollen, they're very full. So when they're full, they'll show some interest, but they're satiated, so they're not going to be as fast, they're not going to run, they're not going to pursue the prey. But it was still wonderful interaction between Obadiah is very familiar with the animals in this area, and he said that they were brothers. That were about 3 to 4 years old, that were staying together, hunting together. And he's like, oh yeah, I could see their bellies. Now, as they got closer, that they're not going to hunt. So, let me pop over here, check and see if there's any questions before we pull up. I'll share my desktop. If you have any questions, drop them in the feed. Blue's being very persistent. So let me share my desktop and I'll pull up the photograph. Blue, let me play here. So let's see, desktop. There we go. And I'm gonna pull this image up, and we're gonna see what's going on. All right, let me get the live view going. Canon, here we go. I've got a lot of apps open, so I'm trying to pull up. Oh, here we go. Let's go live view. Here we go. So, hope you could see that. Here's the photograph. So we're in live view. And then I'm going to diagram this. So let me go back here really quick. I put it in video mode. I want it to be in camera. Live view shooting. There we go. So here's the full frame of the picture. So you can kind of see the clouds in the distance and the sunlight that was coming up. So it really is like studio lighting. So it's just magnificent. It's one of those things like it's a gift. It's like, ah, here's the light, here's the behavior. I'm going to pull up my iPhone here to see if I can get monitor going to see what's going on as I step away. Alright, so here we go. We saw the cheetahs coming from way back over here, and then they start approaching, so I know what's going to happen. They're going to come up here, they're going to mark the territory, which they did, they urinated, they scratched on the post here, and then this cheetah just jumped right up, walked, came up here, turned around, and the behavior that I thought was interesting was also where he was standing, and then when he started scratching to mark the territory. Now most cheetahs, when you look at them, their bellies are not so full and swollen. They're very lean looking. In fact, when we had later frames of this scene that was going on, you could see it was a little bit wide, because they're going to eat as much as they can when they have food available to them. So let's jump in to the nitty-gritty of this image. So this was shot with the Canon EOS R3. So I love the R3. Some people want more megapixels. I just love everything ergonomically about the R3. The stack sensor, I've never had any worry about noise or anything like that. It's 24 megapixels, it's super fast, it's responsive, the face, head, eye detection, I believe is just a little bit quicker than the R5, and I wasn't worried that I was going to have to blow this up because I had another R3 with the 600 millimeter with the 2X on it if I wanted to get a tight face shot. So my basic camera was EOS R3 with the RF 100 to 500. Now this is before the 200 to 800, but even still on Safari, I don't think I would bring it because it's a big lens. The 600 is a big lens, and it won't all fit in one backpack. Where the RF 100 to 500, the 600 f4, my extenders, I can do 3 bodies, a speed light, and everything I need in one backpack. Where the 200 to 800 is just a bit too big to fit all in there. So this photograph was taken at ISO 1600. Now don't be afraid to use the power of the ISO, right, to achieve the photograph you want. Now when we're photographing cheetahs, you just want to be ready that they're going to sprint and take off. So that means my shutter speed is 1/2500th of a second. So if they jumping up, which he did, and jumped down, and they did some interaction, I want to make sure my photographs are cat sharp. If I could share one thing for you to take away from this, especially for wildlife, birds in flight, anything like that, is even though there's image stabilization, which we could talk about it later, it's the shutter speed that ultimately is going to make the really sharp images. Now, I was using an aperture of f10. That's my choice. I wanted some depth of field between these two cheetahs. Now when you start zooming the lens from 100 to 500, and as you get more toward the telephoto length of that, your depth of field also gets compressed and you get less depth of field, meaning what's in focus compared to foreground and background. So that's the reason. Manual. Same light, same exposure, right? To quote another fellow explorer like Charles Glatzer, Chaz, I really resonate with that term that he uses, same light, same exposure. So there's no reason to use auto ISO. And I do use all the features of the camera, auto ISO, aperture priority, things like that. But when I'm poised for something that's going to happen, same light, same exposure, there's no reason to change it. Had I used auto ISO and I came in close on just this cheetah with that much sky behind it, it would underexpose the cheetah because it's exposing for the suggestion of the brightness of the sky. And then I would have to dodge and burn and open up the cheetah later on. I don't want that. I want frame to frame to frame consistency. So therefore, even in my white balance, I choose Kelvin, right? So for this image, I was at 5,400 degrees Kelvin. The reason I wanted 5,400 is that the grass and the land was very warm as the sunlight was coming up, and and the clouds were still cool and blue, and I loved that look. And with Kelvin, I could dial in the precise color temperature, and you get a live histogram. That's the beauty of new mirrorless cameras. What you see is what you get. The color is what you get. The exposure is what you get. So you can really dial in your frame-to-frame consistency. I'm gonna take a swig. I'm gonna head back over here, see if we got any questions popping in. Let's pop over to my Ecamm Live. There we go. Pull up the camera. All right. Let's see. John, how's it going? Good to hear from you. You've been really nailing it on your landscapes, getting some great images. Looks like you've been out and about, doing some touring, getting around. Looks good. The sound is poor. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Let me raise it up. So let's bring the sound level up. Is that better? Are we there? I'm always zoomed in too close. Can't read what you're writing. Oh, no, wait. Okay. All right. Let me back it up. Thanks, John. I'm moving in 2 different positions. So I'm going to head back over here, and I'll do a review of it. Sound is better. Moving back. I got a wireless mic on, John, so I'm just popping up the level of the mic. So that should bring things up, hopefully. Now I know why. Okay. My bad. Where's my microphone? It's not picking up my figuring this out. There we go. There's sound.